At 7:30 a.m. on March 15, 1945, Lieutenant James Carter stood atop a cliff overlooking Okinawa's northern coast. The Japanese fortress sprawled below, jagged concrete walls catching the early sun. He felt the weight of every report he had read. Allied intelligence called it invincible, yet it seemed strangely silent. The roar of distant artillery reminded him of the stakes. Carter's binoculars traced the fortress perimeter, counting gun emplacements and pillboxes. Each turret seemed to stare back, daring him to imagine an attack. He noted every detail carefully, mentally sketching their positions. Soldiers whispered about booby traps and hidden tunnels. A chill ran down his spine at the thought. Inside the fortress, Japanese flags fluttered above camouflaged positions. Sergeant Hiroshi Tanaka inspected the defenses with quiet pride. The men moved like ghosts, shadows among the concrete walls. Supplies were low, but determination burned in every soldier's eyes. The fortress seemed ready to withstand any assault. Allied officers debated Carter's report late into the night. "It's enormous," one whispered, shaking his head. "If they concentrate firepower, it could hold for months." Maps were spread across the table, red pins marking every gun position. Engineers measured ranges and lines of sight. Fear and fascination warred in every officer's mind. Carter felt the tension as dawn broke across the cliffs. The fortress loomed like a stone giant. Birds circled overhead, indifferent to war below. Every observation made him question the reports he carried. Was this truly invincible, or just a myth waiting to be tested? The fortress sprawled across rugged cliffs, a concrete maze of deadly angles. Thick walls absorbed artillery like water soaking sand. Inside, hidden tunnels twisted beneath the surface, connecting every gun emplacement. Soldiers trained tirelessly, running drills under harsh sunlight. Every corner reinforced Japan's reputation for unyielding fortifications. Lieutenant Carter studied the fortress blueprints, amazed by the ingenuity. Gun turrets rotated smoothly, covering overlapping fields of fire. Ammunition caches were buried deep, shielded from bombs above. Anti-tank obstacles lined the beaches, jagged metal ready to tear through steel. The scale of planning left him breathless and wary. Japanese strategy was clear: deny any beachhead at all costs. The fortress acted as both deterrent and trap. Coastal patrols communicated silently through coded signals and flags. Commanders insisted on holding territory no matter the casualties. Each defensive layer added hours, maybe days, to any invading force. Sergeant Tanaka walked the perimeter, inspecting every loophole and slit. He checked sandbags and repaired cracks in concrete walls. Every soldier memorized their positions, ready for an Allied assault. Morale remained high despite food shortages and isolation. Discipline and fear made the fortress almost alive. Carter felt a mix of awe and disbelief from his observation post. Reports called it invincible, yet he noted flaws carefully. Natural terrain reinforced defenses, but limited flexibility. Engineers argued over weak points, calculating potential breaches. The fortress was a masterpiece, but maybe not undefeatable. At 3 a.m., reconnaissance planes skimmed low over Okinawa's cliffs. Cameras clicked silently, capturing every turret and trench. Lieutenant Carter reviewed aerial photos in dim lamplight. Analysts traced every wall, noting potential firing angles. Every detail mattered for future operations planning. Allied spies risked their lives, slipping behind enemy lines at night. They returned with maps, sketches, and whispered reports. Each word was weighed carefully by intelligence officers. Information flowed cautiously, filtered through multiple sensors. Mistakes could cost lives immediately. Carter attended briefings with maps spread across the table. Red pins marked artillery positions and underground entrances. Officers debated which positions were critical and which were decoys. Every calculation carried tension. Errors could destroy thousands. He scribbled notes furiously, memorizing the fortress layout. Reports from local informants conflicted with aerial intelligence. Villagers exaggerated defenses, believing in the fortress's invincibility. Carter balanced facts and rumors, trying to separate truth from fear. The psychological effect of the fortress was as dangerous as its guns. Analysts called it a fortress that may never fall. Despite hours of study, Carter felt unease. The fortress was impressive, yet strangely quiet. No visible signs of large troop movements appeared. Engineers speculated about hidden tunnels and underground batteries. Every observation fueled questions, not answers, about its true threat. Sergeant Hiroshi Tanaka rose before dawn, checking his men's positions carefully. Soldiers moved silently, shadows among concrete walls and tunnels. Food supplies were meager, rationed to stretch for weeks. Fear of Allied attacks mingled with pride in their work. Every day tested endurance and resolve inside the fortress. Medical tents smelled of disinfectant and burning oil. Wounded soldiers whispered quietly, hoping not to disturb others. Tanaka observed their injuries, documenting every scar and bruise. Morale depended on routines, small victories, and careful discipline. Even minor mistakes could ripple into disaster in this confined space. Daily drills repeated endlessly, weapons loaded and reloaded with precision. Troops learned every angle, every slit, every hidden passage. Officers shouted commands sharply, enforcing obedience without hesitation. Soldiers moved like a single, disciplined organism, anticipating each threat. The fortress became a living entity, shaped by its defenders. Isolation weighed heavily on the young men's minds and hearts. Letters from home arrived rarely, morale slipping with each passing week. Some whispered about surrender, others about heroism and sacrifice. Tanaka encouraged focus on duty, ignoring growing fears. Discipline and determination held the fortress together, despite scarcity. Even at night, the fortress never slept entirely. Guards paced tunnels under moonlight, rifles at the ready. Sounds echoed strangely, amplifying tension and paranoia. Every shadow became a potential enemy in the mind. Tanaka watched carefully, knowing the psychological strain could be deadlier than any artillery. At 10 a.m., General Curtis LeMay reviewed intelligence on Okinawa's northern fortress. Officers argued heatedly over whether to attack directly. Carter outlined the fortress layout, emphasizing firepower and tunnels. Risks were high. Casualties could be catastrophic. Every option carried consequences too severe to ignore. Commanders debated bypassing the fortress entirely, focusing on southern beaches first. Supplies and manpower were limited, time ticking relentlessly. Some argued a direct assault would delay the Pacific advance. Others feared leaving defenders to regroup. Strategic priorities pulled them in opposing directions. Reports emphasized the fortress's invincibility, but Carter noticed weaknesses. Engineers calculated artillery reach versus wall thickness carefully. Troop positions were predictable in some areas, yet natural terrain reinforced other sectors. Decisions balanced reality against legend of strength. Ultimately, bypassing seemed the smarter course for the U.S. Forces moved south, leaving the fortress untouched. Reconnaissance continued, monitoring every activity inside walls. Japanese defenders remained unaware of Allied strategy shifts. Time became an invisible weapon, altering plans silently. Carter felt frustration mixed with relief at the choice. The fortress loomed large on maps, still intact. It held thousands of men, yet no major engagement occurred. occurred. Analysts debated future operations, considering if skipping it was a mistake. History might call it prudent or foolish. Japanese commanders believed the fortress remained unconquerable, a symbol of national pride. Soldiers trained harder. Confident allies feared their defenses. Propaganda emphasized invincibility, spreading stories of heroic resistance. Civilians whispered tales of tunnels and secret artillery. The fortress became a psychological weapon, shaping minds beyond walls. Allied forces monitored silently from nearby hills and aerial reconnaissance. Every movement was noted without direct engagement. Carter documented artillery drills, soldier rotations, and supply runs meticulously. Observers remained hidden, preserving the illusion of power. The fortress seemed alive, though untouched by bullets. Inside, Tanaka encouraged vigilance, emphasizing readiness for attack. Men believed every sound might signal an Allied advance. Even minor shifts in routine caused anxiety and heightened alertness. Drills became exercises in fear management. Morale was maintained by the fortress's reputation alone. Propaganda reached distant islands, portraying the fortress as undefeatable. Leaflets and radio broadcasts warned of its immense firepower. Japanese soldiers felt pride mixed with tension under constant pressure. The myth of invincibility strengthened determination and adherence. Allies watched, letting the psychological war unfold naturally. Carter reflected on the irony as he traced defensive positions. The fortress consumed resources, energy, and attention without firing a shot. Myth became reality in minds, though not in combat. Its power existed more in belief than in steel. History might remember it differently than the battlefield dictated. By late April, U.S. forces advanced steadily across southern Okinawa. The fortress remained untouched, looming silently to the north. Carter reviewed reports noting minimal Japanese movement inside walls. Troops focused on villages, bridges, and strategic airfields instead. The fortress, massive and ready, watched everything pass. Japanese defenders continued drills, unaware the main battle shifted elsewhere. Morale remained artificially high, fueled by fear and propaganda. Supplies dwindled, yet officers insisted on readiness at all times. Every day reinforced routines, sharpening discipline and tension. The fortress became a silent spectator to the war. Allied engineers calculated potential breaches, though no assault occurred. Maps marked every tunnel, turret, and ammunition stockpile carefully. Carter noted that its defenses could delay attacks for weeks. Yet no orders reached his unit for engagement. Strategy dictated ignoring it, leaving it intact. As Japanese surrender approached, the fortress became a monument to misallocated effort. Thousands of soldiers remained confined, their energy spent on drills and upkeep. Supplies stored for battle slowly decayed, hidden from the eyes of the advancing Allies. The structure stood perfect, yet irrelevant. Carter observed the contrast between myth and reality with growing clarity. The fortress, hailed as invincible, had not fired on advancing troops. Its psychological effect had worked, but its military role was moot. Officers debated in hindsight, wondering what could have been. History would judge carefully. After the war, historians examined the fortress in detail, searching for its true impact. Reports conflicted, some praising engineering, others mocking wasted effort. Survivor testimonies offered glimpses of daily life inside. Japanese soldiers described fear and pride in equal measure. The fortress became a symbol, more legend than battlefield reality. Carter's notes became part of official archives, detailing every gun position and tunnel. Analysts compared maps with photographs, uncovering inaccuracies in wartime reports. The invincibility claim remained largely exaggerated. Still, its psychological effect on both sides endured. Myths grew faster than facts. Public perception in Japan elevated the fortress to national pride status. Posters and memoirs portrayed it as heroic and indestructible. Americans referred to it as a cautionary tale of intelligence over reaction. Legends often overshadowed the tactical truth. The fortress existed more in stories than combat. Survivors shared quiet recollections of fear, camaraderie, and isolation. Tanaka remembered long nights counting artillery positions under starlight. Men described drills that blurred into endless repetition. These accounts humanized the fortress, revealing life beyond steel walls. Myth faded slightly under the weight of memory. Carter reflected on the irony of history's portrayal. A structure so feared became largely irrelevant on the battlefield. Its true legacy was psychological, not destructive. Observers learned that sometimes fear shapes perception more than firepower. History remembered legend before fact. Today, the fortress stands as weathered concrete, a silent witness to history. Tourists walk carefully along eroded paths and moss-covered walls. Restoration projects attempt to preserve key tunnels and gun emplacements. Plaques recount battles never fought, myths told as truth. Its value lies in memory more than military use. Historians study every blueprint, every photograph, analyzing strategy and psychology. Carter's reports remain essential references for understanding Pacific fortifications. Scholars debate whether bypassing it saved lives or missed opportunity. The fortress teaches lessons in planning and perception. Knowledge comes from observation, not legend alone. Some sections are open to the public. Guided tours illustrate defensive layers. Visitors hear tales of invincibility, drills, and tense daily routines. Weapons remain on display, carefully restored for authenticity. The structure inspires awe, a testament to human effort and ingenuity. Its story captivates generations curious about forgotten battles. A few tunnels are sealed, preserving fragile interiors against decay. Engineers document remaining structures meticulously, photographing every corner for historical accuracy. Volunteers help maintain paths and signs, connecting past and present. Visitors feel the weight of isolation and discipline soldiers endured. Preservation balances education with memory. Carter's reflections remain in archival interviews, recounting observations with clarity. He compares myth and reality, highlighting the fortress's true story. The structure, once feared, now teaches patience, strategy, and perception. History remembers more than just battles fought. It remembers choices, courage, and the human mind. Lieutenant James Carter returned home, haunted by what he witnessed in Okinawa. Memories of cliffs, tunnels, and disciplined soldiers lingered daily. He documented every detail, ensuring history recorded truth alongside legend. Friends asked about heroism. He spoke of strategy and patience. The fortress shaped his understanding of war profoundly. Sergeant Hiroshi Tanaka survived, returning to a Japan rebuilt from ashes. He remembered long days of drills, silent nights in tunnels, and myths of invincibility. The fortress remained etched in his mind, a symbol of pride and futility. Stories passed down preserved lessons of endurance. War shaped men beyond battlefields. Carter later lectured on intelligence and psychological warfare. He emphasized perception often outweighed physical force. Students listened, fascinated by strategy and restraint. The fortress became a teaching tool, a case study in myths versus reality. History, he explained, demanded observation before judgment. The fortress itself remained a monument to human ingenuity and obsession. Some parts decayed, others restored meticulously. Visitors walked paths once patrolled by soldiers, sensing tension and discipline. Legends persisted, yet careful study revealed truths hidden beneath myths. Its story endured across generations. We are left with questions about fear, strategy, and decisions. What do we prioritize in moments of crisis? How much is legend, and how much reality? The fortress reminds us to observe, learn, and question assumptions. History survives in archives, ruins, and memories alike. Remember the lessons, honor the human story,